Okay, so next on our journey, right? So we're talking about building out our own real estate portfolio. It was time for Karen and I to buy our own home, our own primary residence. And I think we were highly motivated from our tenants, right? I think we had outgrown our neighbors, right? Not tenants,
yeah.
right? Not tenants, but neighbors. And it was time that, we carved out our own slice and we wanted to put down roots and buy a home. So Karen started this whole process, right? So the first step, you started looking at existing homes, right? So existing condos. And you started looking like end of 2019. And then it just started to, get serious at the beginning of 2020, which, why not? Everything was great in 2020. It was a new decade. Who doesn't love 2020?
It was going to be a great year.
Right.
It
100%.
was. A lot of hopes, a lot of dreams for that year.
Exactly.
Yes.
So how did you start it?
Well, I, like you say, we were fairly motivated by a very annoying neighbor who was a little too enmeshed in our lives and was a little different in terms of her approach to living life. And so we became very interested in leaving her behind, and home ownership was always part of the goal for us. And
partying at 3 a.m. every single night was not part of our
Remember she
agenda.
would vacuum the walls?
Oh,
or
yeah.
I don't know
she
what
was,
she did.
She was bizarre.
Yes.
She came after move-in.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was
she
also
did, actually,
other neighbors also took advantage of recreational smoking opportunities, and that didn't always stay in their apartments, and so it came into anyway, it was a lot.
Yeah.
So we were looking at making a change, having our own four walls, and I didn't even realize that a single family home might be accessible. But again, I just kind of went on to one of the sites and put in some parameters just so that I would get properties coming at me. And because we were looking in a particular area, you start to see sort of some of the same things. And when I found where we ended up moving, it was very different, and I hadn't seen it. It was a new development, and the streets were names I didn't recognize, so I wasn't sure where it was, and started to scout out. I think I didn't even tell you. I just came over here and met with Shannon. Yeah. So I had the first tour,
right?
And really fell in love with it, and Sky did too.
Yeah, Sky loved it. Yeah. So the first part was we were looking at existing homes. We went to a couple open houses, and we're like, we didn't really, we wanted something that was move-in ready. We weren't going to do any major renovations. We really wanted something new, and we didn't know about it until we came across, David Weekley and this new complex. And I remember Karen said, okay, we're going for a ride. And we went to see the model home.
The dogs were going to get excited about that.
They
like to do that too.
Oh, that's true. That's going to get them going. But yeah, so we said, okay, we're going to that. And we saw the model home, and I remember we actually visited one of the units that was actually for sale. It was already built, and I thought it was way out of our reach. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. It's amazing. Brand new everything. Like, that's incredible. And then going back to that place months later and realizing that, okay, so, now how do we go about actually making this a reality, right? So that's when we brought Caroline back into the picture.
And here again, only one property. So now we're 10.
I know.
So yeah, it's like the law of averages. It's continuing to go down, our ratios. You're welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. No, happy to do it.
So we brought Caroline in, and we said, okay, so the first step was choosing our floor plan, right? So we wanted to choose how many stories we wanted, what was the, where exactly, because there's 4 communities here, there's 4 phases, and we needed to choose which one we wanted, and then we had the design meeting and everything else, right?
And again, you were there with us every step of the way.
Yes.
Making sure that we were represented in the process, because you can navigate that on your own, but it makes so much sense to bring a realtor in and someone who knows you, knows what you want, knows what you need, and has your interests at heart. So Caroline was with us at all of the meetings. So from the contract phase to the meetings with the builder to the meeting at the design center, all of it, you really walked that with us.
Yeah, and Caroline, you have experience working with, obviously people that are building new construction, as we talked about before. So, from your perspective, would love to hear about, what that experience was like serving us.
It was great. We had a lot of fun,
Yes.
and a lot of craziness because we also got the curveball of the lovely COVID pandemic amongst all the other things that were happening that year. But it was a really fun process to do together, and it's great because there's a lot of builders in Texas, and so David Weekley was a great company for y'all based on what they had as their offerings, but also just as far as kind of how they operate, how they, the organization of everything along the way was really great for all of us to kind of stay connected and see step 1, step 2, step 3. So I think that was helpful for kind of all of us, for sure.
Yeah, so the initial milestone was, okay, we signed the contract, we put down the deposit, and within 30 days,
We freaked out.
well, so it was February.
Talking off the ledge a few times.
Well, yeah. So I remember,
All of us.
it was February, and COVID essentially was basically just relegated to China, right? It hadn't entered the U.S., let alone Dallas. So we put down the deposit, and we had to get our conditional loan approval. So we had to send our file into underwriting, and at that point, that was when we were releasing the funds, right? And we also would have to remove our loan contingency, right? And then COVID happened, and we're like, wait a second, this is really scary because so I have a background obviously in finance, and I get really cerebral about this whole thing. And I remember my biggest, you're gonna laugh, but my biggest concern was that home prices were gonna go down as a result. If only. Because, well, and the reason why is because, so the biggest thing is, okay, so we agreed on a purchase price, right? That was the contract price. And we had a little bit over the amount that we needed to put down for the investor minimum. But if home prices were to go down significantly, we wouldn't have been able to make up the appraisal gap, right?
Right.
And that was my biggest concern, because I was thinking, okay, wait a second. So we're going under contract for this price, and we're going to be doing the appraisal at the end in September. And what if home prices go down? Right. Yeah. So if that's the case, then we would have to put more money into the transaction so that we even up and make up that appraisal gap, because we have to meet the investor minimum. Right. So that's.
But in addition to the potential impact on the housing market, we didn't know the impact on our businesses.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So, you're tied to the real estate industry. And again, we did not know that it was going to go the direction that it went in, but we were fearful that it could have gone in a different direction. My business is events based. And so having events during COVID was certainly a challenge. We had to liken my business to virtual food is what we ended up telling the builder, that my business was based on virtual food, to just have them understand how I was trying to really just transform this concept to keep my business alive. So that was sort of our tactic to navigate asking for flexibility, which you did for us.
Yeah, and so when you look at just from a lender's perspective, we were fine because we had our conditional loan approval, because it was based off of 2018 and 2019, because Karen's self-employed, and that part all worked. That was fine. But we need to look at year-to-date numbers, and we had to look at year-to-date numbers in September. And Karen's in the event business that is tied to bringing executives together with 100 people or more, which you could not do, obviously. Right. So we collectively, and this is why it was so important to bring, have Caroline from day one, was to let the builder know that, look, we're gonna close provided that we can get over these hurdles, but we cannot commit to removing our loan contingency on something that we don't know what the future is going to hold because of COVID, right? And so I remember we initially pushed it out to I think it was April, right? We were able to get in past April, and then eventually we said, okay, well, things are starting to get better. Karen was able to shift, our whole community. Thank you, community. Thank you, Technology Ball community.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know you're watching.
They are watching.
We're just so thankful that all of our executives, everybody shifted to this virtual environment, and you went from how many events on a typical year to what?
I would typically do 5 events a year, and in 2020 I did 75.
75.
Events.
Just
Yes,
a few more.
75.
Just
but
tiny
the
bit.
interesting thing, as we did this with you, or as you did this for us, Caroline took this machine of David Weekley, this huge corporation that's been in business for 100 years and has a method and a process, and they literally wrote a new contract for us through this process, which was because of you. So literally a brand new contract. So
Yeah,
that was pretty impressive.
they came back and told us, like, we're not going to profit off your misfortune. We're like, well, that's nice, but we need something in writing.
Always in writing.
Always in writing, right? I in the business, we needed to make sure that we were protected ourselves, and they actually extended that loan contingency until July,
Right.
mid-July.
It was like right.
And
Till the end.
that was because with Karen's business, we were able to take the 6 months and we were able to look at the profit and loss statement because you're self-employed. And the net was actually pretty much the same, which is what we needed to qualify. It was just, amazing. It was a miracle. We were so fortunate. And during that whole process, it was, we said, what did we say? Right. So we said
we were definitely moving.
Right.
And we said it would either be into this beautiful house we were building or under a bridge somewhere.
Or my
Exactly.
house. My house was an option at one time.
See, the 3
Caroline's. Yes. Yeah. So it was really incredible. And, just the support and the optimism and just, seeing it. And, actually in this video, we're going to show a couple of the pictures as the home was being built and just some of those initial times. But it was the best decision, second best decision. Obviously marrying Karen was number 1, but second best decision we've ever made. And number 3 is hiring Caroline. So she did an amazing job for us, and we're just so happy. And the boys love it, right? So they've got their own little, they can run, back and forth, and we love our neighbors. Maybe they're watching, I don't know, but maybe so. But we're just so fortunate that we were able to, acquire this piece.
And get creative along the way.
Very creative.
Exactly.
Very creative.
Exactly.
But to be able to do that hand in hand with you, we couldn't have done this without you.
We made a good team.
We made a great team.
It was well worth it. This is a beautiful home. So.
Aw, you guys are sweet. Thank you.